Ladies and gentlemen, the front seats are empty. You can sit in the front rows. Ladies and gentlemen in the back, you can sit in the front rows. The seats are empty. Yeah. Audience of it? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your kind attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, namaste and good evening to you all. Distinguished guests, respected mountaineers, representatives from tourism, business, and diplomatic communities, welcome to this special celebration of Everest Day 2026, hosted by the Embassy of Nepal. My name is Sanjog Rai, Second Secretary of the Embassy of Nepal, and it's my honor to serve as the MC for this evening's program. Today we gather not only to celebrate the historic ascent of Mount Everest, but also to recognize Nepal's invaluable contribution to global mountaineering, sustainable tourism, adventure economy, cultural diplomacy, and international partnership. Today's event commemorates Everest Day, observed annually in honor of the first successful ascent of Sagarmatha, the Mount Everest, on 29 May 1953 by Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay Sherpa. This celebration is being organized by the Embassy of Nepal here in London to promote Nepal's rich culture, Himalayan heritage, tourism potential, mountaineering excellence, and economic diplomacy through adventure tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, among the world's 14 mountain peaks above 8,000 meters, 8 of them lie in Nepal. Nepal is also home to more than 1,300 peaks above 6,000 meters, with more than 400 mountains officially open for mountaineering activities. The name Mount Everest was officially introduced in 1865 by Andrew Waugh, the then British Surveyor General of India, in honor of Sir George Everest. The beautiful Nepali name Sagarmatha, meaning forehead of the sky, was later coined and popularized in the 1930s by the renowned Nepali historian Baburam Acharya. This evening's program will feature a video presentation on Everest. It will be about 10 minutes. Remarks from the embassy's Saade Fair, Mr. Bipin Duwadi. Cultural dance performance from child artist Ms. Suagya Kesi. Presentation on climate crisis and the Himalayan tax from BBC's Global Environment Correspondent, Mr. Naveen Singh Khadka. And inspirational story sharing by mountaineers who have successfully scaled Everest, and it would be a voluntary one. And a short video of Nepali tea, and finally a dinner reception and networking session. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, may I kindly request everyone to kindly direct your attention to the screen for the special promotional video showcasing the beauty, spirit, and the global significance of Mount Everest and Nepal's tourism heritage. This video has been provided to us by Nepal Tourism Board. Please enjoy the video.
Everest, the world's highest peak, promises an unforgettable adventure, a chance to stand in awe of the mountain that captured the imagination of explorers worldwide. For many, trekking to Everest Base Camp is a pilgrimage to the heart of adventure, inspired by Tenzing Norgay Sherpa and Sir Edmund Hillary's historic first summit on May 29, 1953. Before embarking on the trek, trekkers need to secure entry permits. The Sagarmatha National Park entry permit is mandatory and can be obtained in Kathmandu or at the park entrance. Additionally, trekkers must register at the Khumbu Pasang Lamu Rural Municipality Office in Lukla for the local area permit. Throughout the Everest region, tea houses are a lifeline for trekkers, offering cozy accommodations and a taste of Sherpa hospitality. These welcoming lodges serve hearty meals and warm drinks, creating a homey atmosphere amid the rugged mountains. While they may be simple, most provide essential comforts like beds, blankets, and hot showers. Some even offer internet and charging facilities, though these can be limited. As trekking in the Everest region becomes increasingly popular, many establishments are adapting to modern conveniences. While cash is still king, a growing number of tea houses and shops in places like Namche Bazaar offers cashless payment options, including mobile payments and cards. The journey from Kathmandu to Everest Base Camp is a remarkable passage through some of the world's most stunning landscapes. Starting in the vibrant city of Kathmandu, where the streets are alive with colors and sounds, a flight to Lukla is taken. Known for its dramatic and thrilling runway, the transition from the bustling city to the tranquil mountains is both immediate and exhilarating. From Lukla, trekkers may embark on the classic route to Everest Base Camp, or select alternative paths that offer unique experiences and perspectives. The Jiri to Everest Base Camp route, for instance, is ideal for those seeking a more gradual ascent, allowing them to explore traditional Sherpa villages along with the diverse landscapes. For breathtaking views, the Gokyo Lakes route takes trekkers to the stunning Gokyo Lakes and the summit of Gokyo Ri before joining the main trail, providing spectacular views of Everest and its surroundings. Adventurous souls might opt for the Three Passes trek, a challenging route that involves crossing the Renjola, Chola, and Kongmala passes. This demanding trek offers a variety of landscapes and panoramic views, enhancing the overall Everest trekking experience. The journey continues from Lukla to the village of Phakding, passing through incredible boulders carved with Buddhist prayers. Shortly after departing Phakding, the trek continues through mountainside forests, guided by the gentle murmur of the Dudkosi River. As the river guides the way to Sagarmatha National Park, the air feels like a refreshing breath of coolness, gently invigorating the spirit and bringing a sense of renewal. The landscape changes from lush greenery at lower altitudes to rugged snowy terrain as the ascent continues. As you approach Namche Bazaar, you will cross the iconic Hillary Bridge. This suspension bridge, named after Sir Edmund Hillary, offers stunning views of the surrounding valleys and mountains, adding an exhilarating touch to your journey. Beneath the shadow of towering peaks, Namche Bazaar stands as a gateway, a place where the journey pauses for reflection and rejuvenation. Nestled in a bowl-shaped valley at 3,340 meters above sea level, here traditional charm blends seamlessly with modern comforts, and the spirit of adventure finds a moment of respite. The bazaar is known for its weekly market where locals and trekkers mingle, and its vibrant celebration of festivals like Losar, the Tibetan New Year, which features traditional dances, music, and elaborate rituals. There are year-round cultural exhibitions and events that showcase Sherpa traditions, including traditional crafts, music, and dance. Continuing, the path leads to Tengboche Monastery, which sits on a hill overlooking Imzakhola. This serene spot offers a stunning panoramic view of Everest, Lhotse, and Amadablo. Tengboche is not only a spiritual center, but also a cultural landmark. Situated at an altitude of 4,410 meters, the journey's next stop is Dingboche, a charming village with serene atmosphere and welcoming lodges that serve as an important acclimatization point. The lifestyle here is simple yet resilient, with locals engaging in agriculture and animal husbandry. Dingboche is a small village but still hosts important local events like Tabu. This local harvest festival is celebrated with communal meals, traditional dances, and festivities. It offers a glimpse into the agricultural lifestyle of the Sherpas and their connection to the land. Another alternative is the path to Periche, which serves as an important acclimatization stop before heading higher into the mountains. Located at 4,371 meters, Periche is home to the Himalayan Rescue Association HRA Clinic, which provides essential medical services and advice to trekkers experiencing altitude sickness or other health issues. Reaching Lobuche, perched at 4,940 meters, reveals Mount Pumori standing proudly in the distance. Its imposing presence seems to welcome all who pass by, creating a stunning backdrop for the journey. The trek grows more challenging as the path winds through rocky trails and crosses suspension bridges, the air growing colder and thinner along the way. After navigating the rocky trails, the path leads to Gorakhchep at 5,164 meters, a thrilling destination in itself. From here, a climb to Kalapathar at 5,664 meters reveals the most stunning view of Everest, displaying its striking beauty in a way that captivates the soul. Approaching the Khumbu Glacier, Everest Base Camp finally comes into view, surrounded by the icy grandeur of Everest. The camp grips the soul and reveals its place in the vast expanse. Here, amidst colorful prayer flags and the commanding silhouette of Everest, a profound sense of achievement is experienced. The sunset over Everest casts a golden glow, completing a journey that began with the vibrant chaos of Kathmandu and culminated in the serene majesty of the Himalayas.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I now kindly invite the Saadi Affair of the Embassy of Nepal, Mr. Bipin Dewari, to deliver the welcome remarks.
Namaste, good evening. It's many things change. You're in Nepal now and being very nostalgic, I guess, right? Anyway, namaskar and very good evening, mountaineers, explorers, Nepal lovers, friends from media, and all our distinguished participants. A very warm welcome to you all here in the embassy. We are assembled here on the eve of Everest Day 2026. Tomorrow is May 29, and it's Everest Day, and this is the eve we are gathered here. And on 29th of May 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay Sherpa successfully ascended Mount Everest. And I think it's in a memory that the expedition was led by British, I think, Cornell. It was British expedition. So to honor their legacy and to mark the day of historic ascent, we have been celebrating May 29 as Everest Day, and we call it Sagarmatha Day as well in Nepal. This year, our slogan is Sagarmatha, Identity and Pride of Nepal. So under this theme, we are celebrating Everest Day of this year. Distinguished participants, it's a great honor to have you all here in this evening. It's a little warm here, and we're talking about mountains. So we were thinking about global warming in Nepal, and I think heat is here as well, that you can feel. Each and every one of you present here are very special to us. Those present here have either climbed Mount Everest or in a way or other have been associated to Nepal, and especially mountains. And you all are amazingly brave and resilient. Hariji is here, the brave hero. Really proud to have you here, Hari sir. He's successfully to many of you. If you're not aware of him, he's a Guinness record holder, and he has already climbed 7 highest peaks of 7 continents. Yes. And even being double amputee. So we highly respect you and salute you for your confidence and then courage. I don't know how it comes out of your heart, you know. And Rebecca is here, of course, the first British woman who climbed Everest back in 1993. I was just a small kid by then. In fact, thank you so much for connecting this many impressive and dignified people, you know. So through you, through her, in fact, I reach out to you, many of you. So she's really favored me, and of course, Salman is here. Nabil Salman, he also connected me, and thank you, Nabil. To many of you, I'm meeting for the first time, and I'm sure you have your unique experience and stories or records to share with us. And we want to hear from you in a while. But personally, could you please raise your hands to those especially who climbed Everest? I want to see you in person. To those who climbed Everest. It's amazing, isn't so? It's lovely gathering. And in addition, Everest and other peaks of mountains now. To those who climbed Everest and other peaks of Nepal, please raise your hands. Again, including Everest. Yes. So no, I think don't be lazy. Everest and at least all the peaks of Nepal. Those who climbed, yes, including Mount Everest. Once again. So I think almost every one of you. So it's really amazing. It's amazing, and importantly, we have mountains, but you brought them all around the world. So thank you so much. British climbers have long association to Nepal and Everest. And we can't forget British surveyor and geographer Sir George Everest. And we are carrying his name for over 2 decades, 2 centuries, right? Over 2 centuries. British climbers have made remarkable contributions to Himalayan mountaineering, especially in rescue techniques, environmental awareness, and responsible and sustainable tourism, as my colleague said just a while ago. And today we are not only celebrating Everest Day, we are also celebrating the enduring friendship between our two countries and two people. It is a friendship that endured over 2 centuries and nurtured by people like us, people who are present here and those who couldn't make it here today. So, and with George Everest, even before 1953. So today I will speak less. I want you to speak to the world. We have designed the program especially to hear from you, and especially your experience in Nepal and your experience in mountains. Our mountains are our identities, and the impacts of climate change and global warming in the Himalayas have been very concerning to us. So we have Mr. Naveen Singh Khanka from BBC. He will also cover these aspects. And after his presentation, we will be pleased to hear from you. So, and I think there is a team from Nepal tea. Maybe they will be showcasing, or maybe they will serve Nepali tea. We will find him. I think he's here, or maybe on the way. So, you've been to Nepal and been here many times, so feel home and enjoy your evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now kindly invite child artist Ms. Suagya Kesi for her dance performance. Please welcome her on the stage.
नाच्दामा मुसुक्का हाँस्दामा डाफे झै नाच्ने हिमाल झै हाँस्ने नेपालकी छोरी हुँ म डाफे झै नाच्ने हिमाल झै हाँस्ने नेपालकी छोरी हुँ म प्रकृतिले नै रङ भरेकी सुकुमारी गोरी हुँ म प्रकृतिले नै रङ भरेकी सुकुमारी गोरी हुँ म नेपालकी छोरी हुँ म सुकुमारी गोरी हुँ म नेपालकी छोरी हुँ म सुकुमारी गोरी हुँ म नेपालकी छोरी हुँ म
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause once again for her amazing performance. And, and as a matter of fact, she's just 7 years old, and that's an incredible performance from her. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now kindly invite on the stage BBC's Global Environment Correspondent, Mr. Navin Singh Khadka, for his presentation on the climate crisis and the Himalayan talks. Please.
Namaste, everyone. I'm sorry I'm here to talk about climate crisis. Bad, isn't it? It's such a lovely program, and then afterwards we'll be hearing from the ground who went there, who saw all of that, and here I am going to talk to you about a boring thing. But I think it's important to keep those mountains as they have been, as they were, and let's hope they will always be there like that. So, look, I'll be honest here. This is what I do. I am a journalist, and I've been covering the Himalayan region for almost 30 years now. And just this afternoon, before I came here, even then I was monitoring and updating and covering the Everest season, as you can imagine. Thank you. This year around, so many records, so many things, and so much of concern, but thankfully, by and large, there have been tragedies, but by and large, I think it's going to be over smoothly. So, I normally show this. I won't bore you about all this, the risks that they keep on coming. It's blur, I know, but it's all about what is climate doing, what's about ecosystem failures, biodiversity endangerment, and all that, yeah? This is what it is, basically the crux of it, the science of what scientists keep on telling us, what we should be doing and what we are actually doing. That is why I'm here to talk to you about. So these are the figures, reduce carbon emissions, reduce by that level, then we should be fine, kind of. But then it's not happening. Look at the figure, 55%, 35%, whereas last year we saw 1% rising instead, going to the opposite direction. That is what it is all about. I'll not go into all these details about what countries are doing. They're submitting their climate plans. Nepal has also. But that's the thing. They're saying that, it's not moving the needle. That's the UN GAP report. Net zero, big countries, G20, whatever they have pledged, even there, the needle is not moving. That's what they're telling us. And then, of course, I can't skip this. After Trump came in, he's open, he says he wants to drill more. And not just that, he wants other countries to buy fuels, fossil fuels. And so many countries have started rallying behind him. And, this is what the US is doing. I'm just giving you a background. Where are we heading towards? I'll come to the mountains, by the way. And then, the Iran war actually has posed the question, where are we now? This is at a crossroads. We are told that either we will be embracing renewables, that's a good news, in the fight against climate change, or countries will even more embrace fossil fuels, and we will, we'll be getting into more trouble. But it's yet to be seen. And then the military thing, of course, they want more budget, rightly so, they say. But then, the controversy is they contribute to emissions, and will that help the fight against climate change? Will that not? That kind of thing. Demand going up for clean energy, again, will it happen or not? All that kind of thing. So, the question is, are we failing to get things in the grip? Are we failing to mitigate climate change? That's the question we are asking, given all these developments, given all these facts and figures we've been having. And that is what it is. This is 1.1, 1.2, degrees Celsius added now compared to pre-industrial period. If this is what's happening, imagine what will happen in 2.53. That's the warning we've been hearing from scientists. And then we're living with all these surprises. Flash droughts is not flash flood now anymore. It's also flash droughts, not just flash floods. Flying rivers, amok, I'm sure. Are you aware of amok here? I'm sure you are. The Atlantic threat. Similar story in the Indian Ocean or Arabian Sea. But this is what I thought I should share with you. So what does it all mean for our Himalayan region? That's the crux. The earlier part was just a background of what's happening. What does it mean? So this was relatively, a new story we did. Was it last year or no? In January, Bare and rocky. Not just in Nepal, by the way. In the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. Almost everywhere. That's what they're seeing. And look at those figures, you see? How much of loss, it's a huge loss. And the problem is not many of the glaciers are monitored. Whichever they are not showing good signs. And there are dangerous gaps. So this was, I'm sure you know the Sikkim floods. Look at that, what's happened, So the Sikkim flood, when this glacial lake burst out, it just came down and buried everything. And of course, the Thame flood, if you remember, this is what happened. People are scared. I talk to them on daily basis, almost daily basis, particularly during monsoon, and they're really, really worried. This was relatively new. And this is something, the early warning thing. So the early warning is, scientists say, early warning is the thing. Wherever you are around the world, if we are living with climate change, and if we are to deal with it, we have to have the early warning. If there's no early warning, then that is the biggest problem. And this is the story that I did recently where I found that, the early warning systems that they were installed were not working. So that is something that needs to be addressed on the ground. And then there's one thing, it's not just the glacial lakes. There seems to be a misnomer that it's just glacial lakes, they will burst out and they'll bring down floods and everything will be swept away, which has happened in the past, but it's just not that. There are so many other things. I say mountains are coming down now. And again, this is not just in Nepal. It's the same story in the Alps or Andes or elsewhere. You see? And there's a reason why. Apart from the cryosphere thing, the melting of ice, glaciers, which I call cement. The cement that keeps the building intact? Ice, snow, permafrost, if they are disappearing, mountains get destabilized and they come down. The cement is gone. That's the story. But it's just not that. It's also the extreme weather woes. Again, autumn climbing season. Monsoon are getting turbocharged when they mix up with westerlies. And it's very difficult, very dangerous. This was fairly recently, maybe earlier this year or late last year, maybe late last year when I did during the autumn climate season. And the wavier jet stream, we all know jet stream, right? It's becoming wavier. And again, as you know, it's not just in Nepal, by this, it's happening everywhere. But the problem is, mountaineers are there, hoping that that jet stream will stay away. But it's becoming wavier, posing challenge. So you see, it's menace for mountaineering. I reported that this, I think, back in 2019, Why is it so difficult? Fast forward 2026, the story has become very, very much more serious than then. Well, more rain, less snow on Everest Base Camp. Did you know that? So the National Geographic, they installed this weather station there. Look at the figures. It's more rain now than snowfall. And what are these guys saying? The icefall doctors. I met this Ang Sarki Sherpa, who is the lead icefall doctor, who makes it possible for you guys to go there, right? He is explaining to me what's happening there. How are crevasses becoming more dangerous, rock falls, more frequently intensified, and then blue ice, dry ice, crampons don't work, how difficult it is. They have the real story. They know how it's difficult. And they know that, this is their bread and butter, and they want this to be addressed. Well, this was in the Indian Himalayas 2 years ago, where all those locals told me they never saw rains there, but rains have reached where it snowed most of the time in the past. So what do rains do, Rains percolate, further destabilize the mountain, and when rain falls on ice field and snow, you know what happens? That accelerates the melting. And then monsoonal changes, of course. Monsoonal changes are another thing. Like I said, they mix up with westerlies, and this is what is the thing. So the last one there, what mountains are doing to oceans, like, the fresh water that come down, right? They melt, and the fresh water come down, what is it doing to, like, for example, in Bay of Bengal? And then that change in the ocean, what do they do to the mountains? It's back and forth, two-way story. Snow droughts. Have you heard about it? Look at those figures. Snowfall. This is from IIT Jammu in India. They gave me that figure. And this one is from ICIMOD. Snow droughts. And now the Everest Base Camp dilemma, you see. So when I talk about this is like, they're telling me every time, oh, crevasses, you're sleeping in your tent, and the next day something is happening. So do we change our base camp? That, the government started working on that. But then somehow it didn't move. Initially they said that they should, but then I had to report that it won't be moving anytime soon. Okay? So it's going on. It's an ongoing story. Now, talking about the government, well, Nepal has so many plans and programs. It has worked on all these programs. It has submitted documents to the UN, one after another. And some of them have been quite exemplary. So many other least developed countries in the world have taken example from this. They have been applauded. Yeah, they've taken the lead. And Nepal has a climate plan now as well. This is the latest one submitted to the UNFCCC, the Climate Convention. But the problem is, the question is, do we focus just on mitigation, that is, reducing the carbon emissions, or do we also focus on how to live with it, adaptation? This is about adaptation. So I think mountaineering also need to know, how do you do it? How do you climb the mountains? How do you keep on doing this? Even when climate change is kind of, pummeling those mountains, destabilizing those mountains, unleashing disasters, how do we do it? It's not about abandoning them, but it's about living with it. How do we thrash out that plan? Do we train our mountaineers? Have we trained them? Do we have that plan? I talked to all this, I just had a chat 2 or 3 months ago to the National Mountain Guides in Nepal. They are mindful about this. Hopefully it's going to happen. Action on the ground. So this lake, Imja Lake, was drained by the government in 2016, you know, and that's why it is deemed safe until now. But again, you know, because of rapid melting, will it become dangerous again? And Sherpas are telling me, people in the Sherpa community are telling me, there are so many other lakes. That's what happened in Thame. The Thame flood, it was a surprise. This lake didn't burst out. There were other smaller lakes that burst out. So do we monitor them? Have we been monitoring them? Can we monitor all of them? No, we can't monitor all of them. You know, there are thousands of them. But what I say is, at least we can identify those that are upstream, those vital infrastructures or human settlements, and keep monitoring them, and do something about it. Yeah, so the government is now draining more lakes. It's got a fund from the Green Climate Fund. These 4 lakes have been identified, glacial lakes. And they have told me, when I reported about the early warning failure in the IMJA, they told me that they will not, you know, have that story repeat in these cases. And then again, like, you know, it's not just about doing the post-mortem that what caused or, you know, what happened to the glaciers. I think it's about knowing beforehand, where is it? Where is it going to happen? If you remember the Blatten tragedy in Switzerland, they knew it long back. They moved people 3 months ago beforehand. And so, you know, the whole village was buried in Blatten in Switzerland, but nobody died. That was timely action. That was being monitored. Timely action. You know, Nepal is not, of course, as rich as Switzerland, I know, but maybe we can try doing something about it. Mind the finance gap. Well, that is, you know, this is the ever ongoing fight between developing and developed countries. That is what developing countries want, 1.5 trillion US dollars, and what's been placed is 300 billion. That's overall climate finance. But for adaptation, which Nepal needs to adapt, you know, to all these changes and carry on, live with all this, that's the figure, 365 billion by UNEP. That's the UN figure. But what they are getting is just 26 billion in 2023, and that came down, you know, what was given out a year ago. So that's quite challenging, the finance gap. With that, I'll end this. You know, I'm sorry, like I said, this is what it is. This is not about running away from all this. This is about knowing all this and dealing with it. I think if we run away or if we just keep quiet about it, then tragedies will definitely follow because it's been happening all around the world. So we'll need to identify those risks and see what can be done about it. Well, I hope if you have any questions, I'm happy to deal with it later. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Navin Singh Kharka, for your remarkable insights and wonderful presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, Nepal continues to remain a global destination for mountaineering activities and adventure tourism. This year alone, mountaineers from 79 countries obtained permits to scale Nepal's mountains, while climbers from 55 countries received permits specifically for Mount Everest expeditions. And among the largest participating groups, the climbers were from China, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Russia. This truly highlights the mountains' enduring international appeal and Nepal's growing role in tourism promotion, economic diplomacy, and international friendship. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most special parts of this evening is hearing directly from those who challenge the world's highest peak and turn determination into achievement. Through their experiences, we will be reminded of their journey, embodied with courage, resilience, teamwork, environmental and environmental awareness associated with the Nepal and Himalaya. I now kindly request our respected mountaineers and Everest summiters for the story sharing session. So any volunteers who would like to share their inspiring experience and reflections from the journey can raise their hand and share their experiences briefly. Rajkumar sir. You will be second, okay. No worries.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Neville Shulman, and I'm an explorer, mountaineer, writer, and filmmaker. And I was very honored a few years back to work with the ambassador here in celebrating the 29th of May, 2023, which, as you all know, was the 70th anniversary of the climbing of Everest, the great mountain. But as I said to the ambassador, and I say to all of you, it's not Everest, it's Sagarmatha. It's your mountain, so that, we think of it as Everest, and as some of you may know, it's named after George Everest, who was the Surveyor General at one time in the Himalayas. But of course, the original Surveyor General was a very famous guy called Valentine Blacker, and he was the one that sort of mapped the whole of the Indian continent and the Himalayas, but Valentine Blacker was quite a ladies' man, so that he seemed to sort of find ladies here and there, and eventually he met his match, and he was challenged to a duel, and he was wounded mortally, so that he had to, obviously he was no longer the Surveyor General, and George Everest took over from him. But if that hadn't been, then possibly the mountain might have been called after him. But you couldn't call a mountain Blacker, a beautiful white mountain that it is, but you could have called it Valentine, which would have been a most marvelous name for a mountain, Mount Blacker. And also what I want to speak about is teamwork, because my great friend here, Rebecca Stevens, the first female from the UK to climb Everest, as she knows, it's very much a team effort, and it's never one person. And not everyone remembers or realizes that, in fact, Hillary, Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay were not the first two people to attempt the ascent of Everest. It was, in fact, if I get the names right, it was Charles Evans and Tom Boudion, who were sent up by John Hunt to climb Everest. And they got within, I think, 100 meters, but for various technical reasons and apparatus reasons, they decided they couldn't, if they did make it, they wouldn't get back. So they came down, and then John Hunt, who was the leader of the expedition, there were 11 mountaineers in the team, and as I say, Charles Evans and Tom Boudion were the first two, and then Hillary and Tenzing were the next two. And but for the difficulties or the quirk of fate, it would be an entirely different story. So you imagine what those two guys felt like in the rest of their life, that they were nearly the first two to climb Everest. But it's always a team effort, and that's why the person that is, to me, really the hero of that first ascent is actually John Hunt, the leader of the expedition. And he's the one that decided who should climb and in what order. And but for his leadership, I don't think Everest would have been climbed in 1953. So that my acknowledgement always is to John Hunt, who became afterwards Sir John Hunt and then Lord Hunt. And I was very honored to meet him. But of course, most people here and everywhere forget about John Hunt. They forget about Charles Evans. They forget about Tom Boudion. They think about Tenzing and Hillary. But of course, they were just part of this great team. So that in thinking high, we always got to think about teamwork and how wonderful it is to be part of a team. And that's what life is about. And all of us here are all part of a team. And as your other people said, speaking, we must support Nepal. We must certainly make certain that it flourishes, and we do everything we can financially and in every other way to make certain that Nepal rises and continues to rise. So my small toast to you, or big toast to you, is Nepal and Sagarmatha. Thank you.
So, Rajkumar sir. So, would you like to come on stage or? Okay, yeah, please.
You all hear me now? That's a bit of a worry. My name is David Sullivan. Your Highness, thank you for inviting us today, my daughter Brianna. All of you, I am so lucky to be able to speak to people as brave and brilliant as yourselves. I am just a minion. My name is David Sullivan. I lost my 4 very close friends to cardiac arrest. Then I was on the wrong golf course on the wrong day and ended up doing CPR on a young lad for 9 minutes. He thinks I kissed him too much, but hey, there you go. That's life. I was dismayed about where you could put defibrillators, that they need an electrical supply to make sure that you can keep them at an ambient temperature to be usable. I contacted an old friend. We developed this machine which the materials go up on the NASA space rocket, and I contacted, am I allowed to mention your name? Mr. Neil Lawton. I contacted Neil and said, Neil, I've got this bit of kit. I would very much like to take it up Everest as a bit of a show so that we can save people. And Neil gave me the names of 3 fantastic Sherpas who changed my life. So we've now got this life-saving kit, which I left at 20,000 feet up Mount Everest. We took all the training facilities which are going around the villages of Nepal now, making an army of lifesavers so that all the villagers know how to do CPR and how to use a defibrillator. We left this equipment at 20,000 feet with my 4 friends who passed away in the box. It was very emotional, and I came back to the UK. Within 2 weeks, my phone went at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I thought it was one of my children having an issue somewhere. And it was my Sherpa to say that our kit saved a 30-year-old lady mountaineer. So what we are planning to do, because this equipment worked, we are trying to get partners to give us the ability to put more of this life-saving kit up Mount Everest to save the brave, brilliant, and fantastic people like you who are absolutely phenomenal. So I hope that we can give the Sherpas this equipment to make sure that everyone has a safer journey going up Mount Everest.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience. And anybody interested to share their experience can raise their hand. Our volunteers will be providing with you the microphone. Just a minute, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for such a wonderful invite here this evening. My name is Tori James. I'm the first Welsh woman to climb Mount Everest. I'm here with a wonderful group of women, some of whom I shared the mountain Everest with in 2007, and some of whom I shared just the most wonderful trip to Nepal with last year. And I was sat at the back thinking, I love to travel, and if I only go to one country in the world for the rest of my life, it's Nepal. There's so much I could say about my own journey to Nepal and to Everest, but really just the one thing I want to share with you this evening is the journey that I made last year with a group of 15 women. It was led by Joe Bradshaw, and it was to celebrate the first female ascent of Mount Everest, which was by Japanese mountaineer Junko Tabei in 1975. We have, of course, all followed in the footsteps of Sir Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tenzing Norgay. And our journey reflected on all of those first ascents, particularly Junko's. And we went to climb a mountain called Yala Peak in the Langtang Valley. And it was both to celebrate Junko's ascent of Everest, but also to commemorate the devastating earthquake and avalanche that destroyed Langtang village in Nepal in 2015. It was both a very, very poignant moment to walk through Langtang village and remember those that lost their lives at that time. But our journey was so much more than just the 2 weeks that we were in Nepal. We've made friends for life. One of our team members has set up a charity to help local school children and to provide uniform, equipment, books. I'm sure the team can tell me more about this. The friendship goes far beyond those 2 weeks that we stayed in Nepal. And as part of that 50th anniversary celebration as well, I thought, wouldn't it be great to find out who were the women around the world who were the first from the different countries, who were the first from their countries to reach the top. Of course, I spoke to Rebecca Stevens with us tonight as the first British woman. And I made a podcast called First Females. We'd love to share it with you this evening. Both the podcast and I should have said, we made a film about our climb of Yala Peak as well, which was called More Than a Mountain. Both of those, the details are on this postcard. We'd love to share that with you this evening. And if you want to hear of the stories of me talking to other women who were the first from their countries around the world, Series 1 is out there. There's 8 episodes, and I'm planning to get through the 90 plus more countries that have been represented by a woman on Everest. So that's all from me. Thank you very much, and enjoy the evening.
Good evening, Ambassador. Thank you very much for inviting me today, and good evening, everybody. I think my name is Adrian Hayes, and Nepal has been very dear to my heart. I served in the Gurkhas for about 9 years. I'm with some very distinguished people here. Summited Everest 20 years ago this week, including one of my teammates, Tom Clowes, is in the front row as well. And I think just speaking about Everest, you can't have an evening like this without referring to the press that there's been last week, the queues up Everest, 271 climbers. And I think what I would say is that change is the only constant in our lives, whatever it is. It was very different 20 years ago. I think it was about 150 total on our teams there. I spent an hour on the top on my own with one Sherpa, sadly passed away. But it was different 20 years before that, when Colonel Mike Kefford, my former CO of 7th Gurkha Rifles, he walked from Kathmandu to get to Lukla, okay? And so 20 years before 86, it was different. 96, 2006, our year, 2016, and of course 2026. And I think, so we've got to be, there's a lot of criticism out there. It's too commercial, there's too many people up there. I hope that what the Nepal government's doing now is insisting on 7,000 meter peak qualification before will sort of stem the flow. I hope the Sherpas, there's a tendency to race to the first summit window, the first weather window, get up there. I hope there's a little bit more balance. But I also hope that there's 70 odd mountains over 7,000 meters in Nepal alone. And I've been climbing many, many mountains myself in Nepal. And I hope that perhaps we'll spread the load off Everest so it can retain that sacred, special place that all of us recognize in our hearts. So thank you again. It is a very special mountain. The summit is the same as it always was. The mountain below it has changed a lot. But I think we should still revere what is so special about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing the experience and also highlighting the queues of 271 mountaineers that was highlighted quite a time ago. And further to your information, there are about 1,310 mountain peaks with the height of above 6,000 meters altitude in Nepal. So with that, any other participant who would like to share this story can come up to the stage, and obviously, Mr. Hari sir, yeah, you can come up to the stage, and or you can tell it from the floor, yeah. Yeah.
I think I climbed the Everest. I can't sitting down. Wow, that was harder than climbing Mount Everest. Your Excellency, good evening, everybody. I think I just simply force out to come here. So I'll just want to say just one thing. Why we climb mountains and why is Everest? I think I was last year in Everest Summit in Kathmandu, and there were about 300 summiteers. And listening to their story was very, very powerful for me. And I climbed the 19th of May 2023. And in that year, 478 permits were issued. And just over 52% made it to the summit. And that year was quite deadly. 17 people lost their lives in that year. So I think why we climbed a mountain. I think mountain is this mountain, it has a rock, ice, snow, it's cold, it costs lots of money to get up there. It's risky. Why you go there? And I think life and everything is the same like a mountain. Mountain many people use for different purposes. I went to make awareness of disability, that disabled people can do anything. And before that, we had to find a prosthetic legs, invent prosthetic legs. We had to fight with our government in Supreme Court before we even, attempted to climb it. Why I think is for me is to just simply make awareness that people with disability can do something, but also people around us also, they believe us that they can support us and help us right away. People around us, those are the people who support us amazingly sometimes, but sometimes those are the ones who are in our own way and who doesn't understand us. And it is very important to make awareness. If you look at the disabled population, it's 1.3 billion disabled people around the world. And even we say, from me, I have got 4 direct family members. And even like 2 family members are affected by one disabled person. It's nearly half of the world population is affected by disability. So I think it was something good thing to do, and this is why I went. And simply people go for some for records, some for awareness, some for they have a job there, some they have business there, a lot of things. And when I look at the mountain, it's just being creative and convey the message around. And I think if we and Nepal government can use the Everest as a mountain to lead some of the, in the world, especially in a climate change that we talked about for a good purpose, or whether world peace. We had a civil conflict, and now we are now together in a government. We have a peace, and Lord Buddha was born in Nepal, and I think I think the Nepal government hasn't used those brands, I think, well, and developed Nepal. I think if we can do that, I think Nepal would be much more prosperous. We have new government, so hopefully it's going to be, I think, better. But I think it's why we want to do it. And my reason why was when I was in primary school, hearing a story of the Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. And that is how my dream came, and I was able to climb it when I was 43 years old. Yeah, I was able to achieve my childhood dream after that. And this is why name of my expedition was called Conquering Dreams. And you got one dream, then another dream, then another dream. This is what happens. And my 7 Summits expedition's name was also the Conquering Dreams. And now my book will be called Conquering Dreams, and which will be published on 27th of August this year. So I think if we ask ourselves why, one time in our life we'll go and find out the answer for ourselves. I think that's what I think. So I think why is the one of the most, I think, powerful word I think that exists. Thank you.
Thank you, Hari sir, for sharing your experiences and also providing recommendations for the government of Nepal, and that is surely noted down. and any other interested? Yeah, I can see a lot of people. Yeah, you can. Yeah, okay. I can see 3 hands, and so we expect the experience to be in brief. So, yeah, please. No, they are interested.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm Melanie Windridge. I'm a physicist by background, and I see Everest as a symbol of human ingenuity and capability, and what humans can achieve if they align behind a goal. We saw that for 1953, they'd been working on it for decades. And I was inspired myself about Everest and to climb Everest when I realized how much science had gone into summiting Mount Everest. Climbing Everest is not really a climbing challenge, it's a human physiology challenge. It's a scientific challenge. It's how do you keep the body alive and functioning well enough to get to the summit and get back down again. And when you look at why they got to the summit of Everest in 1953 and not in the 20s or in the 30s, it's because of the scientific understanding, the technology that is available to them, the technology that they developed to get there. That's what excited me about Everest, and it was a privilege to walk in those footsteps and to learn about some of the science that had gone into making it possible. And as I said, I see it as a symbol of what's possible, of human ingenuity. And I now work, well, not now, I did before, I work in fusion energy. I'm a fusion expert, entrepreneur. I help people get the information that they need to, like decision makers get the information that they need to navigate a new industry and to participate in fusion. You may not know what fusion is. It's actually what happens in the sun and the stars, and scientists are working on making clean energy from fusion using that reaction. We don't have it yet. We may not have it for a while. There are lots of private fusion companies now, lots of investment is going into the field, and there are private fusion companies who are aiming to generate first electricity in the 2030s, but it's ambitious, it may take longer. Why am I mentioning that? I'm mentioning it because I see it like Everest, or like Everest is a symbol of how people could coalesce around a goal and develop the technology, develop the understanding to make something happen when they knew that the goal was there. and it was in sight. They didn't really know exactly what they would find along the way. It's still exploration, but the goal was clear, and they found the way to get there, to summit. And I feel the same way about that with the energy transition as well. Seeing the presentation about climate change and what's happening in Nepal is extremely saddening. I wish we could do fusion sooner. I wish we could have the clean energy transition sooner. But rest assured, it's happening. People are working on it. And renewables are going to play a part. Everything's going to play a part in the meantime. But a clean energy future is coming, and it's like Everest. It's like that goal that we see. And people, industries, scientists, investors are coalescing behind that goal. And that's what Everest means to me. Thank you.
As now we are getting out of time, so I would like to request any volunteers to share their experiences briefly, and I guess there are two more volunteers who are trying to share their story, right? So yeah, please come up on the stage, and you can share your experience.
Good evening. Namaste, sirs, ma'ams, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Yam Grung. The reason I'm here is two reasons. One thing is you are promoting about the tea. I'm from home of the tea. That means I'm from the Ilam, eastern part of Nepal. So my hometown is famous for the tea as well. I grew up in the tea garden. I know what it look like. So it is going to be interesting what is going to be promoting in the tea. Okay. Second thing is about why we are climbing Mount Everest. Climbing Mount Everest, many reasons. Some say some for the fame, some do for their interest or hobbies, or some for to celebrate or commemorate. I'm a former Gurkha. I served in the Gurkha soldier 24 years. And 2015, as a Gurkha soldiers, it was the 200 years serving in the British crown as a British Army. So to commemorate that one, we formed up a team, and then we went to climb Mount Everest to commemorate 200 years of the Gurkha service. Unfortunately, in 2015, there was a huge earthquake. Due to that huge avalanche created in Everest base camp, sadly, 18 people lost their lives. Fortunately, or unfortunately, just a base camp manager, Buddhi Bhandari Sahib, he's also here. He was at the base camp. He knew his drill, what to do during that time. What is the immediate action means. We always talk about the training, preparation, and interest. He had all the training, preparation, and action. He applied that one, and he survived from the huge avalanche. Fortunately, most of the team members were up in the Camp 1, just having a rest. At the time, I felt whole mountain is going to collapse. If you can imagine, those of you who've been to Mount Everest or Camp 1, it is like a coal. That bucket is shaking left to right. And some were saying earthquake, some Sherpas were saying earthquake, some were saying avalanche. We didn't see anything. After a couple of minutes, we saw some dust powder was running around us. Then somebody said, oh, that is avalanche, and then we shelter inside the tent. That is the story. Then after, in 2017, luckily, our expedition leader and TYC and the brigade, again, managed to get the fundings. Then in 2017 and 15th and 16th, both days, we managed to summit the world's highest mountain, Mount Everest. That is the one. And at the same note, some of our friends are already recommending about the climate change. Yes, I know, sir, you are looking for how the things are going there, and somebody already mentioning about the science engineer about the Mount Everest. There are so many things. You talk about one at a time, Mount Everest stone watch. It used to cost 50,000 pounds. But after a couple of years, when Nepal government found that one and they banned that one, and no one can sell or buy those things. But the biggest thing is climate change. Climate change, you cannot notice that one. In 2015, I was walking towards the base camp, maybe 20 meters, 20, 30 meters above the area. In 2017, when I approached that area, those approaching routes were vanished. You couldn't see anything. And I realized, I always used to hear that one, climate change, glacier melt. And then I realized I found that one, I saw that one. Then this point needs to be brought in a vigorous way. Everybody needs to hear these things. Nowadays, you can see, it melts so quickly. In the past, it used to stay up to June, but nowadays, in the beginning of the June, you can see most of the glacier will be going down. So that means Nepal government also should think about that one. And as journalists, I would like to recommend you can tell the Nepal government, I think nobody is from the expedition company, because if they can move that base camp to the Gorakshep, that's fine. Climbers, once they acclimatize, they can walk just half an hour. They can catch up half an hour. But if they don't spoil that base camp, that is going to be beautiful. Imagine that one. When they spend 2 or 3 months there with lucrative tents or everything, amusements, everything you can see, I know it is glorious and it's beautiful there once everything's there. But if we move that one, that's going to be gleaming. That is all I want to say. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
So I think that sums up the experience sharing. So I'd like to invite on the stage the first British female to ever to scale Mount Everest. And I think that would sum up the experience of today's session. So please come up on the stage and share your experience with us.
Is this working? Can you hear me? Yeah. There's nothing like being put on the spot. And when I think of the word Everest, there are just so many layers and so many subjects that kind of explode in my head and kind of impact from all different directions. It's like a whole world sort of focused on this one highest point in the world, the good, the bad, the ugly. And the most is beautiful. I think that for those of us who've been on Everest, hands up again. It seems like it's the majority of people in this room tonight. You might go there thinking, oh, this is like a hobby. That's what I was thinking, to climb this mountain. But I would challenge anybody who doesn't come back unchanged in some way. And I was thinking, there have been so many references about climate change. Neville was talking about John Hunt. John Hunt, of course, wrote a beautiful book after the ascent of Everest called Life is Meeting. And I think of all the things from Everest, that's probably the most impactful and lasting for me. Meeting both the environment and meeting people. So without sounding too off the wall, and I know there are a couple of people in the room I've shared this experience with and would agree with this, there is something about being at very high altitude, looking out across the curvature of the earth and this wonderful Himalayan range. In my case, with 2 Sherpas, who I wouldn't have done it without, Ang Pasang and Kami Cherry, where unexpectedly, not looking for it, I felt a sort of experience of melting into the universe. And there is that sense of oneness you can feel up there, which has totally shaped my philosophy on life. But the meeting of the people, the Sherpas, and the doors that opened for me in the meeting of the people after that event, I could never have expected. I could never have expected over 30 years on to be here talking to people. I could never have expected to have got involved with 2 charities that I want to mention, because I think the fact that it does change our lives it does give us a love for Nepal, the people of Nepal. There is an accountability that goes with that. Because when I was saying this, there's sort of spectrum of emotions I get with Everest. It's not all great. You know, there are some things which embarrass us about Everest in terms of the way things are operating, in terms of the way that Sherpas carry maybe 30 loads through a very dangerous area of the icefall for people to do one ascent. This is ethically a problem with the model on Everest today. The problem with climate change we touched on, and I must take your card, please, afterwards, is another thing, which isn't just a local issue, it's a global issue about climate change and warming in the Himalayas, and the effect that will have on the Indian subcontinent, the ice in the Himalayas being the water towers of that continent, and they are melting away. They predict by the end of the century, even on track as we're going today, with no changes, a third of the glaciers will have gone. It's more likely 2/3 of the glaciers will have gone by the end of the century. So what can we do about that? I don't have the answer to that, but there are things we can do now, as you were talking about, in terms of adaptability for people living in the Himalayas. So focusing on the positive, if I may, just for a moment, there were two extraordinary charities that sprung from Everest 1953 that are very much alive and kicking today. The first one I've been involved in for over 30 years. We have Sabian here. Is Sabian here? He seems to have disappeared from his seat. And Kate and Robert, trustees of the Himalayan Trust, set up by Edmund Hillary to say thank you to the Sherpas. What can we do for you? You're having done so much for us. And that, to this day, supports education of mountain communities, basic health care of mountain communities, a little money going a very long way in those mountain communities and still making a very positive impact. Run incredibly professionally. You know, it was amateur, sort of from the love of people. It's still the love of people, but it's very, very organized and well managed now. Every penny spent is of value. And the other one is the Mount Everest Foundation, again springing from 1953. John Hunt, we've mentioned once, we're going to mention him again. Proceeds from his book, The Ascent of Everest, went into a pot of money, along with the lectures at that time, and pure altruism. That money is now still invested to give grants to pioneering mountaineers, very rarely on Everest, I have to say, but putting up new routes in very remote parts of the world, and also, importantly, scientific research in the mountains. Now, what the Mount Everest Foundation has committed to doing recently in this area is to sponsor research into changes in the mountain regions. It happens to be our sweet spot. We're there. You know, it's a calling for us. We are monitoring, we're surveying glacial lakes and other impacts of warming temperatures, the heavy rainfall we mentioned, the increase in landslides we mentioned, to see how we can help people living in those valleys adapt to that now. Now, do bear in mind those people living downstream from a lake that's hanging over their heads. One thing that really touched me by one of our young researchers, Sonam Rinsing, who's been working in Bhutan, talking to a woman, whenever it rains, she's worried that that lake is just going to topple and sweep away her home and her family in it. These people are living with the real consequences of climate change when the injustice of it is just hideous. These people are breathing only carbon into the atmosphere. That's the only carbon they're emitting into the atmosphere, you know? And yet they're the ones at the sharp ends of the consequences. So that's really a calling, I suppose, for all of us who have benefited so much from that beautiful country, from the beautiful people, from that mountain, to say, is there something we can do in return? And if you want, come and speak to me, come and speak to other Himalayan Trust representatives. Duncan is the back. I know he's Alpine Club now, but he will also take a calling from that and play a part in a very, very real way that you can benefit Nepal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all our speakers for sharing their remarkable experience and also providing us with the recommendations. Ladies and gentlemen, Nepal's mountains are not only symbols of natural beauty and national pride, but they are also the important pillars of tourism, cultural exchange, environmental awareness, and economic partnership. We hope this evening further strengthens the friendship, collaboration, and shared appreciation for Nepal's unique Himalayan heritage. Ladies and gentlemen, the dinner is ready, but before that, I would like to invite on stage the mountaineers who had successfully climbed the Everest and other summits in Nepal. And after that photo shoot, we'll do a combined photo shoot. And after that, we'll play a short video about Nepali tea, and you can further explore about the tea, Nepali tea, by interacting with Mr. Uday Chapagai, a Nepali entrepreneur, who is present here with us. And after the video, we'll join the adjoining hall for dinner. So that's the sequence of the activities. First, we'll have photo shoot with the mountaineers, and then we'll watch a short video, and then we'll go to the adjoining hall for dinner. So thank you once again for your gracious presence, and may the spirit of Everest, the Sagarmatha, continue to inspire cooperation, resilience, and partnership among us all. I wish you all a very pleasant evening. Namaste. At first, the mountaineers are invited. Okay.
सबैलाई भन्दैन अरू पछाडि बसेछ सबैलाई बोलायो त्यो सबै क्लाइम्बर्सहरू पनि अझै बसिरहेको छ अरू पनि छ त्यहाँ एभरेस्ट भनेर मात्रै बसिरहेको छ नि त्यहाँ
So the photo shoot is for other climbers also, not just the Everest. The ones who have climbed other peaks in Nepal, they are invited on the stage. Yes, a program go.
हाम्रो त्यहाँ पनि बसिरहेको
छोड्दैन अब आउने आउँछ सर. Now everyone are invited on the stage for photo shoot. So please everyone come up to the stage and we'll have a joint photo shoot.
kids will just like,
I'm sure Claire's got connections in Malta.
You enjoying the slight chaos that just reminds you of Nepal in everything? This is just Oh, yeah, that's right, photographing. I'm assuming it's really lovely downwards.
Do you work here at the embassy?
Yes. I'm the secretary here.
Oh. I know him. I've met him before. No, thank you. I wonder if we can go in the garden. Do you think we can?
That's what we were hoping. We were hoping it would be in the garden.
I just feel an affection for Army House, which is I've been to so many events there. And, my mum, I mean, when she was a little girl, that was like where they socialised.
Can we get a team photo? You okay to take a picture? Thank you very much. Right, come on, let's join in.
Colonel Robert Baxter, is he around?
All right.
Sir, I'll see you in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, the dinner is being served. Please make yourself comfortable.
So yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So dinner is served. Please proceed to the next room by this hall. Yeah.
के भने त्यो मान्छेलाई पर्दैन नि
Nepal is a country known for its unspoiled beauty, ancient traditions, and towering Himalayas. Every area from the verdant lowlands to the snow-capped summits narrates a tale of the magnificence of nature. Nature provides us with something genuinely unique in the middle of this magnificent scenery, the best tea grown in the cleanest surroundings. Each leaf is carefully chosen by hand, expertly processed and created into a soul-calming experience.
Namaste. Namaste. We're loving it here. This is an amazing place. We are on top of the world, having the best tea. In winter coats, having a tea tasting on top of the world.
Amazing. Wonderful. Nepal tea. Tea has beautiful notes of honey and some golden syrup. And I think off the table, this was the most beautiful tea. And I'm so happy to be here.
Enjoy the spirit of Nepal with each cup. This is more than simply tea, it's Nepal in a cup. It offers a taste of purity and a peaceful moment. Experience the authentic taste of Nepal.